In the 90s, Playmates Toys made the deepest line of Star Trek action figures in history. My name's Keith, and I'm a collector working towards owning all 284. I've been a Trek fan for almost 35 years, and most people are sick of me talking about it. But somehow I've convinced my old friend Mike to review them with me on Look at My Star Trek Toys! Whoosh! What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Look at My Star Trek Toys, a little YouTube show where I, Keith Marney, show my buddy Mike and Deglio Star Trek toys. My Star Trek toys, your Star Trek toys. We do a lot of the Playmates Star Trek toys, but we're expanding, we're growing into other companies. Doesn't matter as long as it's Star Trek and it's awesome. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Evo, you want to send us some stuff? We'd love to look at that.
Yeah, we'd love to look at anything you send us.
Send it our way. Keith, I'm excited. Customs, you know I love me some customs, so let's jump into it.
Yes. All right, so I think we can begin with an important question. Mike, what is the best episode of Star Trek The Next Generation?
Clearly the one referring to the stuff we're going to look at today. I assume.
That is professional broadcasting. Now, of course, there are many iconic episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation, and any of these being your number one is a absolute fair and legitimate choice. It is objective, or subjective, of course. But it's not, for me, personally, it's not The Inner Light. It's not All Good Things. It's not Best of Both Worlds, part 1 or 2. It's not Measure of a Man. It's not even I Borg. No, for me, the episode, and I remember the first time I watched it. I remember where I was and what I was doing. I was lying on the floor at my grandparents' house, feet up on the bottom of the TV at my grandparents' house, watching on February 17th, 1990, Season 3's absolute friggin' gem, Yesterday's Enterprise. And so this week, our entire episode are custom figures from that one episode. And have you seen it, Mike?
No, Keith, but we're going to probably watch it on the Patreon. We must now, right?
Oh, I think we have to. I think we have to watch it on the Patreon. And patreon.com/K&M, spell out that and, because what happens is we get into sort of like a time loop, time bubble, and we go into a what-if scenario, not about the Enterprise D or the A or the B, but about the Enterprise C, which, spoiler alert, was destroyed and all hands lost in a big battle. And because of this time problem, whatever, gets sucked into our timeline, therefore did not get into that battle. And what were the repercussions of them not getting the battle? We go into sort of a dark present, alternate timeline where we are at war. And so we are in a in sort of like a horrible, dark wartime timeline. And so we spend most of the episode on our D with our heroes. But everything is different and darker, including our first custom figure here, Yesterday's Enterprise, Guinan. Guinan being the only person on the ship who knows something is up, who is able to tell that something is wrong with this timeline, being an Elorian and with their mysterious powers. But you know what's not mysterious? Our new friend here on the show. This is a new customizer we have never showed before. This is Jack at Necessary Outlet. And Necessary Outlet is a whole company that creates and sells custom figures.
Cool.
We will link down below on the Etsy shop. You can purchase this figure. So super cool. Thank you so much, Jack, for reaching out at lookatmystartrektoys@gmail.com. We'll be working, Necessary Outlet works into our future episodes, but you can check out the whole thing on the link below, and go help out another small business creator here making awesome Star Trek stuff. So you can see we're in our dark present, right? Mm-hmm. So we see some differences there. Guinan, Whoopi's still wearing her goofy hat, but all the colors are darker and muted. And I think one of the things that sells this episode is the production design and the lighting design, and just like filling in all the little details. And so the lighting on the ship is much darker and much more cinematic. We're not sort of in a hotel lobby like we are normally on the Enterprise D. It's dark and interesting, and everyone's color palette is different. So good. Such a great Whoopi figure there. Great job sort of reshaping the hat that she's wearing.
The hat's cool, but the sort of flowing frock is as well.
Yeah. So it's great. And even in the screenshot there, you can see like there's more branding of the ship on various places. It's really, really cool. So love that. So that is Guinan. Coming up next is Captain Garrett. You can see, again, wonderful production design details with this episode, because it's the Enterprise C. It's from the past. They're wearing the movie era uniforms, which is super cool. It's Trisha O'Neill playing Captain Garrett. Great. I don't know how that figure is made with that facial sculpt and different. I don't know if it's a head from a different type of figure or it's been sculpted. But that's an excellent Captain Garrett.
Yeah, I can't tell. Did they do any of the? Did they have any like women in that shirt? Because the silhouette is very specific.
There are two figures that use that. There's the Savick from the movie series, and then I believe reusing that body sculpt, we have the Janeway.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Toy Fair exclusive. So it's probably based off of one of those to build this, but very, very, very cool. Captain of the Enterprise C. Now, of course, you've got to have a love interest. Here, you have Richard Castillo. I'm not going to get too far into the lore there because I don't want to. But I believe that if you're playing at home, that's Shooter McGavin, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely, Shooter McGavin.
And a great sort. And I think the other thing that made this episode really satisfying was the emotional arc of it. Was super satisfying because it was. Dealing with the weight. They basically, the arc is the sea comes out, they realize eventually we have to put it back and has to go back into that battle, and they have to die because it's really messed up the whole universe that they didn't. So they have to make some really tough choices about going back in to fight the Romulans. Really, really well done. And Mike, Tasha Yar's here.
Well, it's so many Tasha Yars, Keith. So many Tashas.
So many Tasha Yars, but can you think of why it would be odd that Tasha Yar would be here on the bridge of the Enterprise?
Well, Keith, I think the scientific terminology is she dead.
She dead. That's right. And this was, again, 10-year-old me, jaw
freaked out. Yeah.
Because when we flip into the alternate timeline, all of a sudden, Worf's gone because the Klingons did not, they were at war with the Federation. I believe it was the Klingons. Anyway, so Worf's gone, but Tasha Yar is back and not dead because the events of season 1 did not happen as it would be. So this Tasha is very much alive. So going back and restoring the timeline,
there's the belt. You can see
means she's toast. And so again, production design details that I loved about this. Everybody's armed, right? So you never see that on the D unless they're at battle. But they've got these sort of utility belts to hold their phasers in this other timeline. So it's still our regular uniforms. We just militarize everything just a little bit. The bridge is a little different. The lighting is a little different. Oh, it's so satisfying.
You can tell that you can see the head sculpt there. It definitely took some work to get that hair in there. That's a really great job.
Yeah, interesting on this custom. It's not based on one of the Tashas. Now, Playmates made a Yesterday's Enterprise Tasha Yar figure, but what Jack has done here is they did not. Well, I mean, Playmates. Look, they're you know how they made these rare figures, and this is one of the 1701s. So look out. It was just a head swap, right? However, what Necessary Outlet did here was add that belt, because Playmates did not build that belt. And so Jack has a whole line. I believe he has almost the entire bridge crew with these belts added. We'll see a couple more of them quickly. And it can't be based on the Tasha Yar from season 1, because these are the season 3 uniforms. And you can see in that picture there, the bridge has been altered.
Yeah, rad.
The captain's chair is higher, and they raised it all up, added steps. Oh my God, I still lose my mind. But 10-year-old me was absolutely gobsmacked. That lighting, theatrical, it's so good.
It's very Deep Space Nine.
It's very Deep Space Nine, absolutely. And you can see Picard there with his phaser belt and a security guard with like more pew-pews attached to him, because, you know, folks, we are at war. So here's how you can get a Data with his yesterday's Enterprise War belt, which is great. And then we have another one coming up, and this is Unnecessary Outlets page. You can see a lot more of them, but I just picked a couple of them that were interesting, because guess what? In our timeline, Wesley Crusher is not an ensign yet. I believe, unless I'm mistaken, Wesley's at Starfleet Academy during this, so he was another surprise arrival in this episode. And so clearly in wartime, he had been promoted faster because we were churning through people. And so this is the first time we see Wesley as a full ensign on the Enterprise. Ooh, the details, so freaking cool. Anyway, Necessary Outlet has a whole line of these things, which are really, really cool. However, unless I've got these out of order, Jack is not the only person who has done figures from yesterday's Enterprise. Of course, our friend JD at JD Makes also has yesterday's Enterprise, and so we have 2 alternate takes. This is another Richard Castillo using a different one, and JD, I think, here didn't use one of the figures of the movie era uniforms. This is a repaint and resculpt getting you to that, I believe. As well as a different, I believe that Jax is a head from a different figure line, where this one I believe is a resculpt and repaint of, is it Soren? Could be. I'm unclear who he did there. But again, such cool work, such a great friggin' episode, and great to see them all here. And here's another Captain Garrett. 2 of these iconic characters that we need to have here. Also looks great. He must have done the hair on this as a separate sculpt.
Yeah, looks like it.
Really cool, and then hand painted. It's so exciting to see these figures from this. Now I know other people have done yesterday's Enterprise. If you can send them to me at lookatmystartrektoys@gmail.com, and maybe we'll do a yesterday's Enterprise Part 2. Lord knows I'd love to see that on screen.
Yeah, let's get Keith with his feet up and grinning again.
That's right. Have an unpopular, do a figure of 10-year-old me watching this, like this poor unpopular kid lying on the floor watching Star Trek with his parents, because that's what a Saturday night is for me. Anyway, thank you so
welcome
much
to the family. New creator. We'll see your stuff. Yep.
Yeah, the link is down below. You can check out the Necessary Outlet Etsy store and our new friend Jack. And thanks again to JD as always. Thank you as always to our patrons who are supporting the show. Here you are on the screen. Mike's got a haircut he's got to get to. So you all know who you are, and we appreciate it. You can check out a whole bunch of other fun nonsense up there. Thank you so much for watching our little show. We really appreciate it. We are a family here, and it's really, really fun. We will see you back here next week with yet another episode of Who the Hell Knows What, because this is the last one I prepped. So could be anything. Till then, this has been Look at My Star Trek Toys! Whoosh, 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 whoosh!
Whoosh!